Alright, so I'm demoing the Pivot Firebird 2017. This is actually a large frame with the X shock. Wanted to get an XL, the X2, they didn't have it, so I'm not sure how good of a test this even is for me, but we'll see. I don't know shit about bikes or riding really compared to other people, but I'll just tell you what I think so far. So I just climbed up to the start of Tokyo Drift at Tokul outside Seattle. Okay, so it's got my Canfield Brothers magnesium pedals on it. That's all that's mine that's on it. It's like the lower build, but still has a 36 shock, and I hope the GoPro is actually capturing this. It's a session, so I can't see. So one thing I noticed about the shock is that if I lock it out, it really doesn't move at all. I have a Lyric. I'm coming from a Bronson 2.0 with a 160 Lyric. I don't think it locks out that much from what I can remember. So what else? I haven't ridden a Shimano drivetrain on a mountain bike, and I have to admit, like, it feels crisper, smoother than the SRAM slightly. I don't know if that's just because it's so new or what. I don't know how new it is, the demo. What else? It's got a Fox Transfer 150. The thing I'm worried about is I actually need a 6.5. I need a 200mm post if I want to have it like all the way down and go to my climbing height without ever adjusting this. I don't think the seat tube is long enough for it. I think they're saying only fits 9 inches, 22 centimeters in here, and then you need probably room for the connector. So I might have to go with 150 in one of these on this guy, which sucks. But so I think the differences in geometry from my Bronson, from what I could see online, were it's really mainly just longer top tube, longer reach. And I guess the standover height is lower, but the bottom bracket height is like 9 centimeters higher than the Bronson XL. Again, this is a large, I need an XL, but this is what they had. So I think that's enough. So I'm gonna ride it down Tokyo Drift. It's a little hard and icy out, but so I might take it easy, but we'll see. I also have a grip shifter. I know most people don't, so I'm still like getting used to this. And I just saw somebody on a video change their gears without getting off the bike, which I thought was cool. I'll have to learn that. Like I'm still pretty new to the whole thing. Alright, so I'm going to run the X wide open. They did set up the suspension for my weight at the shop. And post all the way down. Alright, let's see how this thing works. Sun's gonna be in the eyes, but All right, so first impression, I've done that trail a lot. It felt way more stable, like absorbed all the chattery brake bumps, whatever. So much more than the Bronson. Just felt so much more planted. So I usually do high-rise bars, so these are a little low, but they actually felt pretty good. Yeah, I really like it. So I wonder how the XL plus the X2 would do. I don't know if I'm even good enough to like feel a real difference between the X2 and the X. Who knows? Maybe veterans have all that feel dialed, but that's the one I'd get. So yeah, pretty sweet. I did notice the Fox transfer on the way up wouldn't go all the way up. I'd have to like tap it up. So the demo bike, maybe it's just somebody's fucked with it. But other than that, pretty fun ride. Okay, so I figured I'd take a closer look at my current bike, the Bronson, and compare it to the Pivot Firebird. The reason I'm doing it is just because it is my current bike, so it's what I know really well. It's probably, you could say it's probably my first bike since I've really gotten into mountain biking. I got it in April, May this year. So geometry-wise, the biggest differences are the wheelbase on the Firebird is going to be 3 centimeters roughly longer, and the top tube in the reach is 1 centimeter longer. XL to XL, this is a large, so you're looking at a large Firebird versus an XL Bronson, but I would get an XL Firebird. And then the rest of the geometry is pretty much the same, or it's like millimeter differences, except for bottom bracket height on the Firebird is around 8-9 millimeters higher than the Bronson, and then the standover height on the Firebird is 2.5-ish centimeters lower. So the other things I guess to point out, so obviously like the travel is more on the Pivot. It's 170 rear, 170 front. I might put a 180 on it if I get it, a Lyric. And the Bronson, I have a 150 rear, and then I put a 160 Lyric on it. Weight wise, this is the low end build for the Firebird. So I just weighed it on a scale. It's like 32 something pounds. It's pretty heavy. My Bronson with pedals is 27 pounds. So that's a pretty big difference. The spec I would get on the Pivot Firebird, I think there's one that's near 28 pounds I'd probably get. The front fork, this 36, I guess, is like the lower end 36 as well. So I did take this out to Duthie tonight, Duthie Mountain Bike Park, which is like flowy jump trails, like nothing steep or chunky. And I'll have to say, like, the Firebird really wasn't that fun at Duthie. I think it's too big, at least for my taste. The Bronson's way more fun. It's just way more lively. And maybe some of that has to do with the weight difference in this particular build. I'm not sure, but I imagine a lot of it's just due to the travel, maybe the head angle too. So the head angle is 65 on the Firebird, and it's 66 on the Bronson, but I also have a 160 fork on the Bronson versus the stock 150. So I don't know what that does to the head angle. I think it increases it a little bit. But yeah, generally I think I would want to use the Firebird for park and then like steeper, gnarlier trails for sure. So I'll just show like a few runs that I took at Duthie. Gravy Train, for example, has a bunch of like small gaps in succession. I feel like I really had to pedal and work to jump on the Firebird versus the Bronson kind of just floated over all that stuff with a lot more ease. It's just like quicker and more lively on that type of stuff. So anyway. Okay, so quick look at the geometry comparison between the Bronson and Firebird. See, the red stuff is all bigger, longer on the Firebird, and that's wheelbase being the biggest difference. Reach, top tube, BB height. And then the green stuff is all smaller on the Firebird, most of it negligibly except for standover height.